Hey guys, thank you for clicking this video. Just to let you know, this is a segment from my live streams that I do Sunday through Friday. Once again, if you want to catch the live stream, that is going to be Sunday through Friday, 6:30 Mountain Time. And if you don't know what time that is in your time, go ahead and Google it. But once again, enjoy the video, subscribe, and like this video. Back to the video.
All right, Niall, dying to find out what's in your notes today.
I'm glad you asked, Robbie, because tomorrow millions of Americans will come together to show their opposition to President Trump, his policies and his power grabs. It's time for another No Kings event. Last time around, in June, an estimated 5 million people came out from big cities to small towns. Tomorrow, the crowds could be even larger. There are more than 2,600 events planned across the country. And that's a reflection of the huge number of people way beyond the Democratic Party base who have real concerns about what the man in the White House is doing. A poll in September from the Pew Research Center found that 2/3 of Americans believed that Trump had already, quote, improperly used his office to punish those who say things he doesn't like. Even among Republican-leaning Americans, more than 4 in 10 agreed with that assessment. So, as tomorrow's massive protest looms, no doubt Trump and his GOP allies are reacting moderately, sensibly, and with due respect for the free speech rights of the dissenters, aren't they?
You know, Saturday, they're going to be parading around the National Mall. They call it the No Kings Rally. We call it the Hate America Rally, because we have all the Marxists collected, all the Antifa people, you know, the BLM remnants. You'll have the, you know, the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, and they're going to be out here demonstrating and screaming and wailing.
I'm surprised he didn't add the woke mob, the critical race theory believers, the DEI hires. I don't know. It's like, whatever they can think of, he was just trying to throw in there. And once again, that's, of course, just another tactic to try to scare people from not going. Like, once again, it's not going to work for me. You can call me whatever you want. I've been called a lot worse. Actually, yesterday, during the live stream. So, once again, I done been called a lot worse. One, I do support the Palestinian people. I am anti-fascist, so okay, sure. What else did he say? Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. So I guess throw me in there. So it's like, I mean, really, that's the best you got? But okay. And yeah, I'd rather be awake than sleep. So I guess I'm woke too.
That was, of course, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson on the pro-Trump Real America's Voice network. It's easy to roll your eyes at that kind of rhetoric, and I certainly did. But we shouldn't take it lightly either, because there's a concerted effort to brand tomorrow's rallies as anti-American, dangerous and potentially violent, even though the organisers have emphasised repeatedly that the protests should be peaceful. Regardless, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling out the National Guard in response, saying, quote, violence and destruction.
Aaron, you said, how do we get past all the division? I'm not sure, but denying history and facts make it impossible. Well, those are two important things to kind of base any conversation. And this is the important part. You said, and when did Antifa become a bad thing? Just like everything else I said, being aware, being woke, critical race theory, DEI or affirmative action, like these things were not bad, but they purposely made them bad because idiots, ignorant people who don't know what that is, their first impression or their first hearing of these things is bad. You know, so critical race theory, woke, all this, that's all they hear is bad. And that's why they keep using it. So, like you say, education, if you don't got that, you'll be tricked into anything.
Will never be tolerated in Texas. But will dissent be tolerated in Trump's America, though? That's the real question. It's not hard at all to connect the dots on what the president and his allies are doing. They're pushing an effort on multiple fronts to cast legitimate political opposition as criminal, to portray dissenters as subversives or even domestic terrorists, and thereby to justify the use of repressive power against them. To pretend that that's not happening is to sleepwalk into real danger, losing vital freedoms all along the way. And of course, it's not only about no kings. Here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talking on the Charlie Kirk show about using the powers of his massive, sprawling department.
Follow the money. When you see these groups where all the signs match, they have hundreds of the same umbrellas that they're using. After they cause the mayhem, they have the same lasers that they're using to blind our police force. How are they constructed? Because this takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of organization, and we are going to do that. We have started to compile lists, put together networks, and there's a long record here. And we don't know how much of the support's coming in from overseas. We don't know how much being supported by U.S. nonprofits, C3s that give money to C4s. But this is mission critical for us now, just as after 9/11 and Osama bin Laden, the ultimate culprit, was captured. We are operationalizing this here at Treasury.
And once again, DeAndre, or who was it? Let's see. Who said that in chat? Oh yeah, DeAndre, you said billionaires trying to tell you to follow the money. How about we follow your money? Where do you think that's going to lead us? Oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, right? Yeah, it's kind of weird. And then second off, he's talking about matching outfits and matching umbrellas. Like, is that really a network? Is that how these deep, behind the scenes, shadowy organizations work? All you got to do is just like match fits. Like, come on. I don't want to keep saying who's believing that, because I know a lot of idiots are believing that. But just a little critical thinking, just a little bit, will like cure 90% of all the trash that you're listening to. But, and once again, he's trying to equate U.S. citizens who are deciding to protest to bin Laden. Why? What sense does that make? Oh, but of course, when you're trying to fearmonger people into not allowing them to flex their First Amendment. Got you.
Nothing says freedom like the Secretary of the Treasury announcing he's compiling lists of people who use similar umbrellas, or comparing critics to Osama bin Laden. These aren't idle threats either. Just a couple of days ago, the Wall Street Journal revealed that preparations were being made at the IRS to, quote, allow the agency to pursue criminal inquiries of left-leaning groups more easily. And Reuters last week noted that White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller is, quote, deeply involved in reviewing government investigations into, quote, what the administration labels domestic terror networks, which include non-profits and even educational institutions. It's worth noting...
You know what? This might be a hot take, okay? I'm just thinking this, once again, usually when I have these thoughts, they're usually a little crazy, okay? If they think everyone who's going to protest is a national terrorist, wouldn't that be okay? I mean, once again, they labeled Martin Luther King a terrorist, Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense. They called them all terrorists. So like, it feels like that is the path to go to when you're doing something that the enemies don't like. Then they start to try to label you things to try to divide people and to put like a stigma on people. Like, oh my God, you're a threat to national security. Doing what? Feeding kids after school? That's what they labeled the Black Panther Party. A threat to America because they were feeding kids after school. So once again, like, I kind of take what they say as compliments at this point.
Some of the absurd reasoning at work here. The Journal story, for example, noted that Trump's people at the IRS have argued for punishing colleges by stripping their tax-exempt status merely if pro-Palestinian demonstrations take place on their grounds. The purported basis for this would be that, quote, allowing such demonstrations was a form of support for terrorism. That, in turn, is a window onto the bigger picture. Every day, almost every hour now, Trump and his allies are casting their political opponents as criminals or terrorists. In doing so, they are quite deliberately creating a pretext. They're inventing reasons to use the full force of the government to suppress legitimate criticism. And this, remember, is all coming from a president who has in the past tried to overturn an election and right now has put troops on the streets. It's authoritarianism 101, and it's coming direct from the White House. Here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just yesterday on Fox News.
That the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to.
This is nonsense, of course, but it's dangerous and sinister nonsense. And if it's not exposed as such, it is absolutely leading to a very dark place. That's just one reason why tomorrow's No Kings protest, an act of mass resistance, is so desperately needed.
Very interesting. I made some notes. I don't, overall disagree with what you're saying. I'm a major supporter of free speech and the First Amendment. I think the administration's
the pink daisies. You said, what are we going to put on our signs? I don't know. I'm not a sign person. I never done something like this before. Like I told you, I barely I don't say I don't like people, because I like you guys, but I don't like large events like this. So I'm just going to go and, and see what happens. But I don't know. I don't think I have anything big enough to be sign worthy. But yeah.
domestic agenda with respect to civil liberties and speech is certainly concerning, more than concerning to me. I also don't, when I see the No Kings protests, I don't particularly see organized, violent Antifa-type groups. What I see is a far more sinister threat, in my view,
Really?
which is old boomer liberals who will make it impossible to reform our vast entitlement system because they keep these blood-sucking.
Hey, Aaron, you said the sign is our presence. Hey, I'm going to steal that one. I'm going to steal that one, so.
Vampires won't
Wanting
let young
social
people-
security and Medicare and
Exactly,
things like that,
wanting,
Robert.
And just a tremendous social safety net that's bankrupting.
Wanting not to fall into indigence in their old age. How could they?
That's what I want for them. So that's the real threat. I think there's a little bit of naivety. Or naivety or maliciousness on the right for thinking how well funded or organized what they call Antifa is. I have been to many protests. I have studied and attended protests on campuses, protests everywhere in the streets of DC that
Van James say, is the Hill played at your work? Oh, definitely not. Why they will never play the Hill at a job. I've never seen that. No, it's like Fox News and stuff like that. But I listen to all this stuff while I'm at work. So like literally for about 6 hours of my day, I'm just listening to nothing but interviews, podcasts, documentaries, autobiographies, or something about history. Recently is learning about Hitler and how he destroyed the country and killed millions upon millions of people. That was a fun day at work. Trust me. That was a fun day to be working that day. But yeah, so you say the Hill's mostly awful. I mean, I love the debate structure. Once again, this guy right here is an idiot, but one, I need to be informed of what idiots are saying So if I ever come across an idiot, I can be like, oh, I heard that one before. Trust me, I got an answer for you. And then 2, if it's a good conversation, like, oh boy, that's on the other side of them, then it makes it interesting to listen to. So, that's why I don't mind the Hill. It's not bad.
Have turned violent. There are certainly violent elements, and there are professional protester elements. How organized or well-funded they are. Some of the things Scott Bessent is saying there, like they all have the same umbrellas. Like umbrellas don't cost a lot of money. Like these are not their tactics. It's like a little bit like the Joker in the Dark Knight. It's like this is cheap. What I'm doing. This doesn't cost a lot of money. I kind of think of them as like groupies for bands. Like they travel around, they go to protests. They're not living it up in luxury.
Right.
They're people who that's what they like to do is attend protests. And there's violent, and if they're violent, they should be arrested and they should be rounded up. That's fine. But to think that there's some shadowy cabal behind them, or that it's a foreign overseas, I don't. It's far more likely that if there's overseas involvement in our politics that is making us, that is bad, that it's happening online, not that it's actually what you see on the streets.
Right, and just briefly, because I know we have to move on in a second, but the shadowy cabal thing I also think is intended to delegitimize the number of people who just disapprove of what Trump is doing. So
yes, and that right there, when I heard that, I'm like, you know what? I may not like big crowds. I don't like being out in the sun on purpose, because in Colorado it's going to be like 80-something degrees. I'm sweating, trust me, okay? But the point that he just made is why, virtually why they're trying to downplay, oh, they're just bought and paid for to do this, to delegitimize this protest. They're like, hey, it's not that many Americans who are disagreeing with what I'm doing. Most of them are just paid to do this. You see what I'm saying? So once again, your presence is a sign. Hey, once again, who said that? That right there, hey, that deserves to be on a shirt. Who said that? I forgot who said it. But once again, that's facts right there. You showing up is a testament to what is going on. Because once again, if it's millions upon millions of people, then they can't use the excuse, oh, they were paid to be there. Nah, can't use that excuse.
Say, oh, well, it's all organized. They're all paid protesters. Like, they're not all paid protesters. If there were 5 million people at the last No Kings protest, it wasn't George Soros behind the scenes handing out $20 notes.
I remember, it's ironic, it's shoes on the other foot. I remember 2010 going to Tea Party rally after Tea Party rally.
AstroTurf.
And I was told this is all the Kochs are paying them all to be here. This is just all the manipulation. Frankly, some of the associate of the saying that it's all the Kochs behind it. This is reminiscent of that to me. I mean, certainly the Kochs were against the Obamacare policies and were spending money against them, but also the thousands of people showing up had genuine opposition to the policies they were seeing. I tend to think that's the case here.
I agree.
Next up, the first...
Yeah. Play Public Enemy, don't believe the hype. Yeah.
I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Fuck with me, you